Okay, Riesel.
And I joined Pampered Chef at the end of January of this year, really close to February. So, and I actually just promoted to director last month. So, first month as a full director. And I joined because, well, I had actually, I went to my cousin's party. And it was the first virtual party I'd actually been to. And I guess I would say that I was kind of one of those red flag guests that Nikki will talk about here in just a bit. That I was super active in the party. And so Nikki hit me up about joining, and it was nothing that I'd sort of thought about it a long time ago and just didn't think it was for me, but I thought, well, it was the half price kit rebate month. And so I was like, well, if I could make my half price kit rebate, then get my half price for my kit back, I'd be super excited. And I guess the rest is, history after the fact that I decided that, oh, this isn't so bad after all. And, I can make some extra money, and I've been able to pay off credit cards and actually put some money into our savings account to have. And so it's been really nice. And I guess my favorite perk is, besides the 250 Pampered Chef dollars that I was very excited about, probably the director's box with the products. So, Nikki, you want to? I think I'm done. Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Nikki Bramall. I am a advanced director. I am a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids under the age of 8. My husband is gone 21 days of every month. So it's really just me doing everything. And I joined Pampered Chef in November of 2017. And my why is a lot different than a lot of people's. My why was, we're a military family, and I left my dream job whenever we moved here. It was the job that I've always wanted. It was the job that I'd worked my butt off for. And we got here, and there were no options for me as far as working, especially with my husband working 21 days a month, being gone. So I knew Claudia from Korea. We both were in Korea together. I need you to stop, please. And so I knew that if I wanted to be successful at something, I knew I needed to align myself with someone who was successful. So I reached out to Claudia because I needed something to fulfill me. I was feeling, having left a full-time job that I really loved, I was feeling kind of like I was just a stay-at-home mom, and I didn't have anything more to give or to do, or a reason to get out of yoga pants kind of a thing, and I needed that. So I joined Pampered Chef. I fast-tracked to director in like 68 days. Riesel was one of my very first team members. Crazy kids. And I have built a team of like 40-some people. I have 2 directors underneath me now, and next month we are going for a senior director promotion. And I do it all virtually. I do a little bit of cooking shows, but most of my stuff is virtually. I'm just so in love with this business and what it can do for my family. It's not so much that, I didn't need the money. I wasn't trying to make ends meet, but I needed hey, shh, go play with brother. I needed something to fulfill me and encourage me and keep me going. Stop. And that is what Pampered Chef has brought me. So it's brought me some happiness that my husband knew I was lacking. And, the extra $2,000 a month isn't a bad thing. Go upstairs, please. My kids are going to drive me crazy. This is going to be super fun, guys. Okay, so my favorite director perk is the director box that I get every month. My husband had to build me new shelves in my garage to fit all of my extra Pampered Chef, and that is a really fun problem to have. So that's me. That's my story, and we are going to move on into something else that I don't know. The baby's trying to steal that. Yeah. Yeah. Training. Riesel, you're up.
All right. Got to get to this whole unmuting thing, get used to that. So tonight we're going to talk about recruiting. And as you guys know, to promote to director, you have to have, your 5 active team members. And those are, your most important recruits, at least at first, because you got to have those and you have to have them all active in 1 month. But where do you find your recruits? Your hosts for your parties are your biggest leads and your first leads that you could find. And so, what we always say is that you ask your host 5 times during your party, or even before the party starts. You start, asking your hosts if maybe this is something that they would be interested in doing. You probably would know as well as I do is, most of the time their answer is like, no, and you go on and stuff. And then, as the party goes on, as they can see how things are done, they can see how excited their guests get and how they're interacting and stuff like that. And, you always want to make sure and ask them again just to say, hey, you've got some really good guests, they're being, very interactive, very excited, are you sure this isn't something that you want to give a try? And then, of course, at the end, that you always, especially if they have the $300 or $500 parties, there's always, the options for the kit credits. That, there's a lot of people that just even want to just even take that for the, be a kidnapper and and go on with it. But, for me, especially this month with the half price kit rebate, that's huge for a lot of people. I was scared to death when I signed up. I had like the buyer's remorse. I bought the kit and I was like, oh, this is never going to work. But that half price kit incentive was a huge draw for me, and it was a huge motivator for me, because who doesn't like a bargain? At least for me anyway, because I was like, well, I could get half my money back, and plus you get all the awesome prizes or the products, to go along with it. So I think if you, present it that way, especially within those types of months, not that every month doesn't have a good incentive, but, these months especially, I think it's really huge. And so we always have to make sure that we are, reiterating to the hosts, hey, this is something, even if they just want to give it a try, give it a whirl. If they don't like it, it's not, clearly, we just tell them that, nobody's going to come take their box of products away, and, you just pick it up and move on. So, you're going to have people that come and go, your recruits that you have now, your first 5, your active recruits that you have now are not going to be the ones that you have. I mean, Nikki can be a huge attest to that. You started with your 5, and I think, am I still the only original one that you have, in less than a year? And so you're going to have that. It's completely normal. So we always have to make sure that we're actively recruiting all the time. So anything to add, Nikki?
No,
Okay.
That's perfect. That's absolutely true. The 5 that you get when you promote are not going to be the 5 that help you grow your business. The idea is to keep recruiting to grow your business. Do you want to be a director forever, or do you want to be an advanced director? And then do you want to be a senior director? Those take team building, and you can't team build with the same 5 people, okay? So I'm going to go into talking about what I call my red flag people. Riesel was my red flag person in one of my very first parties. And what I mean by a red flag person is somebody who is interactive in your parties, somebody who really catches your eye in your party, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're fun. Because we're not just selling a business, we're selling ourselves. If people don't like the consultant, they're not going to book a party with them, right? So if you have somebody in your group that's a lot of fun, that's somebody that you approach. That's somebody that you message and say, hey, Amy, you are a blast to have in a party. People would love to book with you. Do you think that would you ever consider Pampered Chef? Hadley, Marie, please be quiet. So, red flag people. The other type of red flag people are the people who are asking questions about the business. Oh my God, guys, I swear it's not always like this when I do training. I do a game that I call 13 questions in every one of my virtual parties. And it's just a post, and it says, like, right now it says, let the questions fall. And when it reaches 13 questions, Hadley, please go upstairs. When you reach 13 questions, I do, like, the winner, I do a drawing, and the winner gets like 75 extra tickets, or the winner gets a free spice or something like that, you know. So people start asking questions, and you will have those people like Riesel who ask questions like, how much does it cost to start? How much do you have to sell to stay active? You'll have people who ask questions like, how much do you actually work? How many hours a week do you work? You'll have people that ask questions about what kind of free products do you get. Those are the people, they send up red flags, and those are the people that you friend request. Those are the people that you start messaging, and you make, like, I have a list of people that are my red flag people in my current parties. 1 minute. I had to mute it so I could yell at my kids. So red flag people are just people who send up those red flags that are like, hey, these people might be good at this. And I'm talking about those people who are like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you invited me to a Pampered Chef party. I love to entertain people. Hello? Why aren't you selling Pampered Chef? That's perfect, right? So those are the kind of people that we're looking for when you're not always going to get your hosts. So we need to be looking for people outside of our hosts. And those are the people that we're looking for. We're looking for people who throw up red flags in parties. There's another kind of red flag people. Those are people outside of parties. Come here, Clayton. No, come here. And those people, like Riesel and I were talking today, that you stay tuned into your Facebook newsfeed. Like, don't just scroll through it. Riesel literally got one of her absolute best recruits, actually selling like $3,000 a month every month, because she saw a Facebook post that this lady was considering selling Pampered Chef. Did anybody know a consultant? Hello, Riesel was like, hey, that's a red flag person. The other kind of red flag people are people who are like, oh my gosh, these bills are too much. Hey, I'm sorry, I understand what it's like to not be able to make, not be able to pay your bills. Did you know that you could make some extra income doing something virtually like Pampered Chef? Like, you stay tuned into your Facebook news feed, and you can just grab so many people out of there. People who are laid off work, people who are teachers who don't work during the summer but maybe want some extra income. That's the kind of people that should be sending up red flags for you. And those are the kind of people that you reach out to. Sorry. So, when we reach out to people, what's something that we get? Objections, right? Everybody has a reason of why. Everybody has an excuse. We all have those roadblocks, right? So what we have to do is overcome the objections. Riesel, do you want to start with overcoming some objections?
Sure. I mean, the most common one, and usually the first one that everybody said, like I said earlier, the host that you're going to get is just, they just flat out tell you no at first. And then you just, you can kind of go from there, and you can kind of lead in, and you can kind of be nosy and just ask them why not. Maybe they've had a horrible experience, like, maybe they've done some other sales, previously, and they've just had a horrible experience, and they're thinking, oh, all businesses are like that.
But we don't know how to overcome an objection until we know what that objection is. So if somebody just says, no thanks, you have to find that objection and be like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Can I ask why? Or me, being the person that I am, I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to be a little bit nosy. Can you tell me why you don't want to do this? You don't want extra money? Like, that's me, that's my personality. So people who know me are like, oh, okay, that's just her. But if that's not you, then you'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Can I ask why? What? So, like Riesel was saying, another one that we, holy moly, another one that we get a lot is they're not good at direct sales. They've done direct sales before and they're not good at it. Has anybody got that objection before? No? Okay. I get that one a lot.
Yeah.
And the way that I go about that is saying, for me, I used to sell Pampered Chef several years ago, and it was a failure. I'm talking like I spent more money on printing paper than I made from Pampered Chef. Like it was a disaster. I did terrible. And I turned around and I joined with Claudia and her team, and it's made a world of difference. It's really about the training and team and support that you receive, and this team is top notch. Like, you're not going to get it in any other direct sales company. Reese, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, no, yeah, that's just it. There's a lot of people that are like that, and there are no, and there's a lot of people that have to pay for their training, other companies and stuff where we don't have to, that, all that's given to us. And so that's something that we need to, make sure and reiterate to those who, especially, are objections because of, they've done other direct sales or, just had that, that bad experience with it.
The other one that I like to tell people is, Pampered Chef is a very long-standing company. I mean, we've been around since 1980, and it's always been a very lucrative company because the products sell well. Because people know these products and they want them, they sell well. It's not hard to sell these products, guys, because they're so good. And that's something, and everybody needs it. Everybody eats, right? So you have to have these. I have people who are like, oh, I used to sell makeup and nobody wanted to buy it. Nobody wanted to buy it because not everybody needs makeup, right? Like not everybody has to eat. Not everybody needs this or that or whatever. We all have to eat. And that's what Pampered Chef provides us, is an easier way to do that. So that's one thing I really like to reiterate when I have somebody tell me that, oh, I've done direct sales. You've done other direct sales. You've never done Pampered Chef with this team.
Yep.
What's another one, Riesel?
Just even they say that they're too busy. Your lead says that you're too busy. Aren't we all too busy? We've all got a million things going on. Myself included. I work, 40 plus hours a week as well. And most people do. And that is the reality of any business. Not everybody, it's not, everybody's full-time job, and that's not what it's supposed to be, but that's the great thing about the whole virtual business, the way things are these days, that you can do it wherever, whenever, however, as little or as much, as much as that you want to do. So that's the one thing to make sure and you reiterate to them as well when they're like, I'm too busy to do it. I do 99% of my work, off of my phone.
And you're always on Facebook anyways. Like if they tell you they're not on Facebook, they're lying to you because they're on Facebook right then, right? Like you're on Facebook, you might as well make some money doing it. Right? So overcoming objections is going to be your biggest hurdle in recruiting people. When I was recruiting Riesel, she literally ignored me for 2 days.
Oopsie.
She just ignored me. And I just kept going back and I kept saying, hey, Riesel, I don't want you to miss out on this opportunity. Hey, Riesel, I don't mean to hound you, but is this something you're interested in? I was just waiting for that answer. Holy cow, child. So you have to be willing to ask why not, because if you don't ask why not, they're going to tell you no, or they're not going to answer you, and then you're going to lose what could be an absolute star like Riesel is for my team. You can't stop at the first no. Don't keep badgering them, but when they say no, it's okay to ask them why. That's our job, right? So one thing we want to focus on tonight is how to have a successful recruiting conversation. Is that really good? Is that a good graham cracker? And a successful recruiting conversation is not always going to lead to a signed recruit. A successful recruiting conversation has a few key components that make you confident in what you're doing. That is a successful recruiting conversation. When you are confident in talking to someone and recruiting someone, that's success. Because then you can go on and you can do it once, twice, 3, 5. I do it probably 10 times a day. That is what makes successful recruiting conversations. And a few of those things are Riesel.
Unmute. There we go. I'm doing well. Like we said, the initial ask,
you're never going to get a recruit if you don't ask them.
Absolutely. And then, just even building that relationship, Nikki, like she said, we had a conversation. We had a long conversation before I ignored her for 2 days. But, and I made sure to ask all kinds of questions. And then, of course, I had to, ponder and wonder in my mind, what in the world am I going to do? But anyway, so the whole questions and answers thing. And so, the back and forth and everything like that, if you can engage them in the conversation, that's a huge thing.
And if you're not confident in the answers that you are giving, a three-way conversation with your director is huge.
Yeah. So, let them ask the questions and stuff. That's totally, not everybody just wants to jump in this business thinking, oh, yep, I'm going to do it, especially when it comes to, the $109 to a lot of, that's a lot to some people. It's huge for a lot of people, if they're doing that. So, just make sure that you follow up with, your initial leads, too. If they've expressed their interest and stuff and you're like, okay, just make sure that you follow up like Nikki did. You keep following up, until you get that final no, definitely not. Then, I think the lines of communication and there's always that door that's open just a little bit even. It may be almost shut, but not quite until they just flat out tell you, no, leave me alone.
Yep. So are there any questions, guys? As far as recruiting, how are you guys doing with recruiting?
No.
Hi, Tatum.
Yeah. Can you say
recruiting should, at some point in time, feel pretty natural to you guys. It's scary at first. It's absolutely terrifying.
I'm still working on that part. So it's not just, I'm still working.
But it will be something that at some point in time, somebody is going to pick up the phone and call. Somebody is going to pick up the phone and call you and ask to join your team, just like I did with Claudia. So build that confidence, understand your business, understand what you have to offer for them, and be sure to keep your eyes out for those red flag people. They're your gold mines. One thing Riesel and I talked about today that I went back and I found 2 people that I sent messages to was a customer wants to connect with you, emails. You get those when somebody places an order on a show. I had like 4 emails that said they were interested in the business that I had just left. I didn't even pay attention to them because I get so many of those emails that it didn't even occur to me. Sometimes those people might not pop up in a show because maybe they're just not ready to say, hey, I'm interested. But those emails are there for a reason. So make sure that you're looking at your emails to see if you have any potential leads. Yeah, apparently that's a really good graham cracker. All right, Riesel, you want to tell them your homework?
Yes, we got just a little bit of homework again this week. Got some audio training. I'll post the picture here in the Red Rupee Slipper group. It's just some audio training on recruiting, and it's called Recruiting from the Heart. Which it is, that's what, you've got to give, we can write out the script all day long, but the bottom line is that you're going to have to put your kind of spin on it and put your, like what Nikki says, you have to bring what you have to, offer to the table and let them see you. And then just practice having those successful, recruiting conversations with your leads. you know, and using those tips from the audio call, from, you know, what some of the tips that Nikki and I have given you tonight, and then send those screenshots to your directors. So especially if you have any objections, they can help you overcome those objections, help you give answers, you know, have your director help you give answers to, you know, your leads, or even just a follow-up question for them. That's what they're there for. And then just as you're preparing for this last week to promote, which I know has got to be super exciting for you guys, because super exciting and nerve-wracking all at the same time, because I was in your shoes a month ago, and it is, and you're like down to the wire, and you're like, okay, I can do this, and then or you're like, oh, it's not going to happen. But just remember, you've got till the end of the month, and it will happen. So just believe that it will, and you just keep working hard, that it is going to happen. So take a picture of your ruby slippers, your red dress, your, you know, director conference outfit, and, you know, post it on the group page so everybody can see, you know, this is what you're going to wear when you cross the stage at conference. And then again, you know, we'll continue to message your 30 contacts a day, and then just set up your, you know, what we've been doing every week is, you know, talk to your director. And I know this is the last week, you know, it may be you talk to your director every single day, it may be multiple times a day, but make sure that you're in contact with them. And so if you have any doubts, questions, anything, you know, that's what they're there to help you with these last minutes, you know, days, things that you need help with.
And we are here too. We'll be in the group for the next week. So if you guys need any help with recruiting, if you need to send a screenshot to somebody and your director's not available, I'm happy to help. So just let me know. I would love to see as many directors as possible. And I think we're done. And if anybody has any questions, we'd love to help you. But other than that, I think we're good for tonight, guys. Okay? Say bye.